I may have been wrong about Cardano. In this video, we are going to dive down into the charts, take a look at the recent pullback for Cardano and see what is likely to happen next. I'll explain what I am seeing here inside the data and why I may have been wrong about some of my assumptions. As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then do go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here. Right, with all of that said, done, and out of the way, let's jump on down into the charts and take a look at what is going on here with Cardano. Okay guys, so we're going to start things off by taking a look at this weekly chart. And there's a few things that are really important, I think I really want to kind of clear up, right? What I was potentially wrong about and what actually might happen next here for ADA. Now, what I'm referring to is effectively calling this the fifth wave. And there's a reason for this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually, first of all, going to show you what I've been drawing up for quite some time now and what I was seeing inside the data. This actually comes back all the way through to this crash in March where we effectively had a wave 1 and a wave 2. This actually took us down towards the end of 2020 effectively. Where pretty much we saw Cardano reach some very, very low levels. Now, obviously, as we come back up here, what we can see is we had a really strong fifth wave, and what we're assuming was a fourth wave pullback. And you know, then we were looking at potentially going up into new fantastic all-time highs. Around $10 is what I was talking about at the time. And actually, what we saw was $3.10 get achieved, and you know, effectively, it was a really short fifth wave. But actually, on reflection of seeing everything that we are, you know, looking at now in terms of the data, we can actually see some interesting stuff. This may actually be still the fourth wave correction, which is actually sitting inside a zigzag pattern. Okay, so as we get back into the chart here, we can actually really review what we think is going on. So as we kind of come in here, the first thing we need to do is we need to measure some distances, right? So we need to know this particular wave 1 transposed over into the lows of wave 2, get confirmation. Effectively, we went past the 1.382 with this third wave up, just coming up to that area that we'd expect to, right? And effectively, right up here with the 1.618, it's kind of an area that you'd expect a third wave to go to if it goes impulsive. Okay, that's kind of the way you would most probably find some kind of reversal. So that wasn't unexpected. That was kind of, you know, what you would see normally across many different charts and many different patterns. And you know, what we're looking for here was then, you know, a pullback. We obviously saw that. We saw this thing move up into a new all-time high. And then this is where, you know, I may have been wrong. I may have been calling this a fifth wave when in fact it isn't. And the reason for this is if we actually measure the distance of this pullback, we can see that we barely even went past the 1.382. The minimum requirement really for this fifth wave would be at least a 1.618, okay? And that's the most probable area. That's where you're likely to see things go in an impulsive move. That's kind of what you're looking for. But we didn't see it. You know, we had all these other kind of targets out here at some really interesting levels. And obviously this is an area that we just didn't see. Instead, we started to see a pullback. And so what does this mean? Well, it means that that fifth wave hasn't, in my opinion, right now, started, which is really encouraging data for us. So if I actually remove that Fibonacci retracement tool, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that fourth wave out of the way here and shoot on up a little bit so we can see what's going on. Now, this might be a zigzag pattern, a corrective pattern that effectively just trades sideways, almost flat, but not quite, because we actually had that all-time high in a very similar way that we saw with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin also hit its all-time high, 67K, then 69K, after originally having its pullback from the 65K down to 28K. So for Cardano here, what do you see? Well, you actually see, you know, that high actually coming in here. If I actually grab that, that's what, $2.47, and then we pulled down. Effectively, there's a triple bottom here. Okay, you can see those long wicks. And then we went up into $3.10 high, okay, just up here. Now, what this actually looks like is we've had, you know, as I said, a zigzag pattern potentially occurring here. Now, this does mean that this is a really good, strong area of support that we've seen previously, but there's potential for more downside still, so we are cautious over that. But ultimately, what we're really looking at here is an ABC move. Okay, we have our A down, we have our B up, and we have our C down, okay, kind of trading out sideways. Now, this B wave, for the most part, you would not normally expect to see it go higher than our starting position. However, with a pattern that goes like this in terms of zigzag, you can get these anomalies with the B waves that actually do travel higher. Likewise, this C wave could potentially come down lower as well, which we would expect it to than our A wave. And so what we're looking for here is to find some kind of strong level of support, which seems to be there about 90 cents. With that being said, though, there is still some more volatility that we could potentially expect, but there is some other good news here with Cardano as well, and that is that the basic pattern here is very corrective. No matter what kind of level that you look at, whether we are on the daily chart, we can see we're overlapping, lots of corrective action kind of going on here. It's not a definitive trend setting pattern being formed. Okay, as we come down into the hourly chart, again, we get a very similar story. We see that there are waves coming in here, and you can see that they're overlapping quite a bit, and it's very choppy in its nature. This is basically corrective, and when we say corrective, this means short time frames. So ultimately, when you take a look at the data, what we're really looking at here is, something that is indecisive. It doesn't know whether it's going up long term or it's going down long term. But ultimately, when we zoom on out and we actually pay attention to those bigger time views, specifically that weekly chart, this is actually really encouraging data, because what it does and suggests to us is that we're actually corrective in our nature here, sideways, effectively the fourth wave correction. And then basically that should allow us to then go up into that fifth wave in a really strong way. So for Cardano, in terms of where we're thinking, things are likely to go in 2022, this is actually really encouraging. What does that mean in terms of price? Well, there are several ways that we can kind of gauge this. Ultimately, we would normally be looking for at least a 1.618 move based on the previous wave, right? So in the case of the fourth wave, this is obviously still something that is ongoing, but we could basically take the fib from that high point of our $3.10 down to that current low that we've actually set here. And we can see that the fifth wave most probably, or at least as a minimum level, should move up to that kind of $6.48 range. Obviously, we can speculate if we're going to go up into a 2.618 move, which would put us at about $21. Lots of interesting things are going to be happening here with Cardano in the short time frame as well as the longer term, right? So obviously, we do expect some more volatility on those smaller time frames. Like we are expecting, Cardano to go down a little bit further. Nothing too crazy, but in a little bit further down. It's going to be a fantastic opportunity. And then from there, what we're looking for really is good decisive action and good kind of direction to the upward move, and potentially setting new all-time highs, moving to at least the 1.618 as indicated here, which would be, at least kind of that $6.48 range, which would be fantastic for many Cardano holders out there. Obviously, this is a little bit shorter than the original kind of trend-based fib that we had been looking at. This was actually coming in at $10, but the data here at the moment is looking anywhere between kind of $6.48 and $21.69. So pretty encouraging information and data here for Cardano. In terms of the smaller time frame, as we kind of dive down into this one, what are we thinking is likely to happen, within the next kind of 1 to 2 days? That is going to be that Cardano is more than likely going to pull back down. Now, here we can see that we had effectively had this ABC move to the upside. It's very, very choppy. Again, what we have is a wave down, a B wave up, and we are looking for that C wave down, right? So we are very much similar to Bitcoin here. I'm thinking that Cardano is going to be pulling back, and I said that's an opportunity if you choose to see it that way. I do choose to see it that way, and I think Cardano is going to be going up into new all-time highs in 2022. I think that is what is most probable, looking at all of the information I have available to me. So when we actually dive down into here, where do we think this next leg or next kind of pullback is most probably going to land? It's going to put us right there about 93 cent, right across that line where we wicked down to before. This is also going to be an area of retest, right? So going to retesting this support level again. Hopefully it's going to hold out. If it does hold, then that's going to be us a really nice, good, strong foundation for Cardano to continue. So overall, Cardano is actually looking like it's in a pretty good position with some fantastic opportunities on the smaller time frames to continue to accumulate, whilst actually on the weekly chart, we are looking pretty interestingly at some interesting all-time highs in the slightly longer term. So as we talk over the next few months, as we talk about maybe going into quarter 2, quarter 3. Timing is always the hardest thing to gauge. We're never going to get that right. But one thing that we are going to be able to ascertain is, where is the most probable area that Cardano is likely to go next. We're looking small time frames. We're looking to go down towards those low 90 cent ranges. But on the longer time frames, the weekly chart, if this is in fact, a fourth wave correction that's just doing a zigzag pattern, going up into all-time highs anywhere between $6.48 all the way up to $20, seems to be quite visible here on the charts now, which is fantastic to see. So guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found this video useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then do go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with all the videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, guys, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.